Hi, you guys. How are you today? It's Friday. There wasn't originally anything scheduled for today because I wasn't sure when I would get back into town, but here I am. So let's make some brownies. Today we're making Dr. Pepper brownies. This is a bonus episode, and so this recipe is not in the in the recipe bundle if you signed up for that. But if you want it, just message me and I will be happy to provide it to you. Just a quick reminder that Kids Bake Camp starts next week. Well, I hope it starts next week. We only have 2 kids signed up right now, and we need at least 4 for the class to go. So if you are at all interested in doing it, please, please, please register today because registration closes tonight. So if you have signed up for it, thank you so much, and please call all your friends and encourage them to sign up as well. Also next week there is a evening cake decorating class. We'll be making a drip cake with an ice cream cone on top. That class is intended for teens and adults, but if you have a young person who you feel like is qualified to do it, then that would be fine too. So let's see, what else do I want to tell you? I think that's about it. The second session of Kids Bake Camp is not next week, but the following week, and that one definitely has enough people signed up for that it will be a go. So if next week doesn't work for you, try that other one. Alrighty? Okay, well, let's get started. This is a Dr. Pepper brownie, and we're doing it from scratch today. Whee! All right, so we need half a cup of butter, 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1 cup of brown sugar, 3 large eggs, a 1/4 cup of Dr. Pepper, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Alrighty, so the first thing we need to do here is we need to melt the butter in the chocolate. So I made sure to measure my chips into a microwave safe bowl. And I'm gonna go over and put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. All right, I'll be right back. While we're waiting for that, we'll go ahead and measure out our Dr. Pepper. There we go. My husband can drink the rest of that later. Always keep paper towels handy or something to wipe up messes, right? All right, let's move this out of the way. So you can see our butter is definitely melting. The chips haven't changed shape much, but watch. Once you start to stir them, then you can see that they're melty. Chocolate chips are weird little things. They don't change shape until you stir them. So I've known many people who have burnt their chocolate chips. One, because they just looked at them and thought, oh, they haven't changed, so they're not melted. And 2, they didn't put any butter in with them. All right. Okay. So those are still really chunky, so I'm going to do another 30 seconds. Always 30-second intervals, okay? Any more than that, and you risk burning it because hot spots form, in the midst of the mix, and that's not good. So once we have that ready, we're going to be adding the brown sugar and the eggs. and mixing those up. Just 2 more seconds. There we go. Okay, much more melty looking now. I don't want there to be any lumps in this. So I'm kind of squishing down too. Yummy. Okay, so now we are adding our brown sugar. Oops, not the cocoa powder, the brown sugar. And our 3 eggs. A little tip for you, egg size does make a difference. So if a recipe calls for 3 large eggs, don't use 3 extra large eggs. You'll have too much in there. So I'm just mixing until I know that the egg is all broken up. I don't want to see any egg streaks in there. Okay, I need to be a little more vigorous today. And then those were big chunks of brown sugar. You want to get those broken up. All right, looks good. Now we are going to stir in the Dr. Pepper. That fizziness really does something to the brownies. I'm not quite sure of the science of it, but makes it pretty good. Did you know that you can make a sheet cake like in a pan with a cake mix and a can of soda, and those are the only ingredients you need? They're really fun. They're really great. So you can like take a vanilla cake and you can make it orange by using Fanta, or you can make it grape or strawberry, or any flavors that you can find soda in. Or root beer or anything like that. Okay, now add in the flour and the cocoa powder. I'm gonna turn off my fan for a minute. It's kind of blowing my ingredients around. Oop, and the salt too. Double checking my measurement to make sure it's half a teaspoon. Get all this worked in, being careful not to slop it outside the bowl. Goodness, my arms feel weak today. This feels like hard work. So I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. Love to hear about what you did. We went camping, of course. and had an awesome time. We stayed on a military base, though, so there were no fireworks. But instead of that, all the kids, we had 17 kids amongst all the families, and they all decorated their bikes with glow sticks and such things. And then we had a glow parade through the campground, so it was a lot of fun. All right, that's looking pretty good to me. So, remember that half a cup of butter we put in there? That is plenty of fat so that we don't need to grease our pan, especially when using a foil pan. Now, this recipe originally is for a cast iron skillet, all right? And so if you're going to bake it in a cast iron skillet, then you do want to spray it with a nonstick spray. Actually, I take that back. I can hear my husband yelling at me in my head about that. You don't use a nonstick spray on cast iron. You need to grease it, though. So, okay, and this is going into a 9x13 or thereabouts. If you do it in the cast iron skillet, it's a 10-inch skillet. I'll spread that out. So there's nothing fancy looking about these brownies. There's no decoration that goes on top afterward. You know, they're just delicious. And this way you got to see a recipe from scratch, right? Instead of just altering a box. So all those other recipes I've been doing, if you have a recipe, a scratch recipe for brownies that you really, really love, you can use that for all the other recipes I've been doing. Okay, because we're just adding in. This one with the Dr. Pepper in it might not be great with all the flavors of mix-ins we've been doing, but doesn't, you know, wouldn't hurt to try it. All right, so that's going into the oven for about 25 minutes. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. And like I said, it wasn't in the recipe bundle, so if you want the recipe, just leave me a message below and I will be happy to send it to you. All right, have a wonderful day and a great weekend, and we will see you next week on Friday. Bye.